So this is a unification fight, Andy. It's the IBF World Bantamweight champion Ryan Burnett against the WBA Bantamweight champion Double Z. It's in Belfast on Saturday night. It's Burnett's first defence of his title, and he's addressed it there. Why has he chosen such a tough opponent for his first defence?
I know you hear these things all the time from guys like, I want to be a great champion, I want to be the champion, but I actually genuinely believe it with Ryan. He's such a driven individual, so single-minded, and very determined. And before he fought for the IBF championship, before he fought Lee Haskins, he was asked of all the champions who he wanted to fight, and he said, without like any hesitation, straight away, Zakianov. I want to fight Zakianov. Right. He sparred Zakianov before. They worked together. They were both signed by Hatton at one stage, and Ryan would have been very young at the time. I think he was 19. Might not even had a pro fight, and so a lot has changed. A lot has changed since they were together and since they parted. So Ryan, speaking to Ryan himself, he felt he'd done well in the spars. And
he seems. I was reading some quotes from Ricky Hatton today, and it seems by all accounts, Hatton's obviously in the Double Z corner now, so you can kind of read between the lines of his quotes where he's kind of obviously still has a strong affection to Ryan Burnett, but he's got this other guy now. But reading between the lines, it did seem as if Ryan Burnett actually sort of got the better of him in those sparring sessions.
I don't like to speak out of school or anything, but I know for a fact, I actually saw the tape, and hopefully I'm not betraying anybody, but I know Ryan Burnett put him down in a spar. Right. Now, it was only a flash knockdown, but you don't forget that. As a boxer, even if it's a spar, if someone puts you down, that stays with you. And that can have a negative effect in Zakianov, or could also have a positive effect in terms that he'll want to have something to prove. I asked Ryan, what would he, will it make him feel anything, in the build to the fight, press conferences, I think it's Thursday, they'll have a weigh-in. If Ricky Hatton, his one-time mentor and coach and manager, is talking negatively about him, how would that affect? And he just brushed it off as if it was nothing, Just speaking to him, as soon as I walked into the gym, I've watched Ryan now. He joined our gym in 2014, and I've watched him grow as a fighter and as a man. And I could see physically, he was the best I've ever seen him. He looks unbelievable.
Now?
Yeah, now. And mentally also, I think having become champion, that adds a lot. Obviously confidence, status and stature. And you can see he's just reveling, and he's carrying himself like a champion. I watched him spar 6 rounds. It was his last spar of his training camp. And it was so apparent who was the world champion in the ring. Not just in terms of how he was hitting his opponent, but just how he carried himself and everything. This is the biggest, it's arguably the biggest fight to happen on Irish soil. I know it's in Belfast, but it's a unification fight that's never happened in these shores. Yeah, so if he does it, it's huge. It's a huge victory. Zakianov is not like he went to America. He beat Rashid Warren in Ohio, where Rashid Warren's hometown. Rashid Warren was an Olympian, 2-time Olympian medalist, heavily fancied. And Zakianov went over there and beat him. After being put down early, came back and beat him. And this is both of their first defenses. So neither one want to give an inch. So it's going to be a huge fight.
So he's like Ryan Burnett is 25, as you said. It's the first defence of his title. There were definitely easier options he could have taken. And he does speak about that idea of I want to be a great fighter, and for me to be a great fighter, this is the next step. But I mean, the other side of that, it didn't need to be the next step, right? Because he's
could have been the next step.
He's still a young guy. Because that's still on the table down the track. Like, you could still take a gentle step in that direction, put a bit more money in the bank. Like, it's a game that's about a bit of longevity as well. That, I mean, he's suddenly put himself in a position where, it's not quite all or nothing. Yeah, but it kind of is too.
I think to bring the best out of him, he needs those challenges, because up until the Haskins fight, going into that fight, there was some doubts about Ryan Burnett, and that's because he had been fighting opposition he was favoured to beat. He never really got to show himself in the ring, but having fighting Haskins, a proven champion, he knew he had to prove it and had to perform. And this, I think he needs it. I've trained beside Ryan. Ryan is the hardest working, hardest training fighter I've ever trained with. I've trained with champions from Klitschko, Jermaine Taylor, great champions like throughout my career, and I've never seen anybody work as hard or be as determined as him. And I think he needs these challenges. The problem is, if he wins, where's he going to go? Who's he going to challenge next?
As in, he can't, he finds it easier, and it's.
I think so. Yeah, I think
against the tougher fighters raise the game, and
for him mentally to raise himself, I think he needs that challenge.
Yeah. He's a fascinating backstory as well. That I know he spoke to us about a little time back. You checked back in our podcast from a couple of months ago. Just in terms of the fight itself, Andy, so as we mentioned, you've been up there this week, you've been in and around them. There's 8 years in the difference between these two guys. Burnett, obviously the younger, Double Z just 1 defeat from his 28 fights. Burnett 17-0, and Double Z the taller guy, so 3 inches in the difference. What's your sense of how this one plays out?
He's a taller guy, but he fights small. He's crouched. People might be familiar with the other famous Kazakh Golovkin, Triple G, now Double Z, is Zanat Zakyanov. He fights similar. He's I think Golovkin is his idol, and he fights like him. He's aggressive, he'll just come forward all night, and in a sense he's almost ignorant. But that's his strength, because he'll throw when he shouldn't throw. He'll come forward when he shouldn't come forward, and he'll just keep coming. And it's going to be a test of Ryan's resolve, a test of his discipline. He's going to have to be disciplined. He's going to have to box. Ryan likes to mix it. He doesn't like to, Ryan, although he's a bantamweight, small man, in height, but he's an alpha. He's an alpha male. Right. He's an alpha male, and he won't want to back off. So he's going to have to be disciplined. Box a smart fight. He could make it very easy if he can do that. But
what's the smart play there, Andy? So
the smart play is to stay on your toes, move, and keep the punches light, not try to load up. 2 and 3 punch combinations, always working the jab and lots of feints, and make Zakyanov miss, and almost like the bull and the matador type of situation. Right. That's what he has to.
So he's feeling him out over the.
That's making the fight
rounds.
Easy. Yeah. Ryan also has the ability to, I've seen him has the ability to stand in there and trade with anybody. He's a physically strong. He has the physical attributes of all the top boxers in the world, like Lomachenko, like Golovkin, like Canelo. He has it in terms of he can stand in there and work with anybody. And as I mentioned before, he's the hardest. So he knows he has it in the tank. He's the hardest working boxer I've ever seen.
That's incredible.
And So I think he's something special. He's as an amateur, he was a youth Olympic champion, world silver medalist. Michael Conlan was always there. And Paddy Barnes was there, and he was only 18 at the time, so he's decided to turn pro. It's a shame because I think he would have been an Olympic gold medalist had those guys not been there, or had he been a little bit older or hung around. But like I said, he likes a challenge, and we'll see. Saturday is a huge night for him, and I think he'll come through in flying colours.
Right. Yeah. Eddie Hearn talks about him as the real deal, but I mean,
just beyond all this, just from my trip over there and going back to what I said, there seems to be a zen about him, a belief that. Anything that any negative thought, it doesn't exist. He just nothings it.
Has he always been like that?
I don't think so. He used to be very obsessional. I think it's
because Mick Conlan went through something similar. I remember talking to him before Rio, and we know how everything went there. But he had conversations, I think, with his mother, where they had sort of just done this negative thing wasn't going to exist anymore, and it was all about this positive. I'm going to go there and win. Do we know where that's coming from?
I just think it's from experience. He's grown as a person and grown as a fighter, over the last few years. I remember before he used to obsess about his weight. He'd be driving us mad. We'd be fighting. We fought in a few of the similar cards, and he'd be obsessing about weight, driving us mad, trying to get into my room and get the scales, knocking on my door all hours of the night. And he's only checked his weight 2 hours previously. And now...
struggle to make the weight?
No, just obsessing about it. If he'd go downstairs, eat an apple, and he'd have to come back up and check his weight. That kind of thing,
Wow.
Have half a bottle of water or a glass of water. You'd have to come back up like that. But that's what makes him great. It's.
Yeah. And is that still there?
I don't think it's there at the moment. Yeah. I think he's channeling his energy into the positive things. I just got this feeling that this guy has an air about him that he's going to do something special on Saturday night.